How is it going, Databytes? Is no data here, and welcome back to another episode of Roblox Assassin. In this video, we are going to do something that I've kind of done in the past, but it's a little bit outdated, so I decided, you know what, why not make it again? In this video, I'm going to be telling you guys how to not get scammed, alright? So scamming is a pretty serious part of Roblox Assassin. A lot of people get scammed pretty much every single day, so they lose their knives, you know, they get scammed. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to not get scammed. Now, before we get started, just so you guys know, we are going to be listing off the main ways that people scam and how to avoid those scams, but there could be more ways and possibly more further elaborate ways to get scammed. So just so you guys know, this is not going to list every single possibility because obviously it's going to vary from person to person, but these are the main ways that people will get scammed. Also, I just want to give a huge shout out to the Scam Prevention Guide, which was created by Zikoy, Nilo Oblivion, and Hamgry. They all created the Scam Prevention Guide, and that guide really just puts in written form the types of scams that can happen and how to avoid them. And I'm using the Scam Prevention Guide to make this video, so do check that out. The link to the Scam Prevention Guide is in the description if you want to check out that guide yourself. Anyway, if you guys are excited for this episode of Assassin, then be sure to drop a like on this video. It helps out a whole lot. Also, guys, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more Assassin videos and giveaways in the future. Now, first of all, I think an important thing to talk about is what to actually do if you get scammed. Now, if you get scammed, unfortunately, there is really no way to bring your items back, which does kind of suck, but do keep in mind, it's honestly pretty easy to fake a scam. Like, you could just be friends with somebody and then they can pretend to scam you. So if you got your items back because of that fake scam, you know, obviously that would cause some issues. So even if you have evidence of somebody scamming, that's really not enough for it to be like a genuine scam. So obviously that's why people can't really get their weapons back. So if you get scammed, sadly, you really can't do much about it. If you lost your stuff already, then you can't really do anything about it. But the only thing you can really do is learn from your mistakes and make sure that you do not get scammed again. Also, just so you guys know, if you do have evidence for a scammer, you can report it to Zikoy. They will not actually be banned from Assassin, but if they are in the Assassin Discord, they will be banned from the Discord if they're in there. But they will not be banned from the game, just so you know. So do keep that in mind. If you have evidence of someone scamming, they can get banned from the Assassin Discord. And scammers can also be banned from the Purple Nation Discord, so do keep that in mind as well. But anyway, now we can go over the methods of scamming and how to actually avoid them. So the first and probably one of the most common forms of scamming is Robux for knives. So this is basically when someone wants to essentially buy your knives for Robux. So obviously you give them the knife in hopes that they'll give you Robux, and then they just leave and you don't get any Robux and you get unfriended and blocked, and it's not a very good situation. So if someone is in your game and they want to give you Robux for your knife, honestly, just say no. There's really no other way around it. Just straight up say no. Even if they do seem reliable and if they invite you to your group, they're probably just gonna leave with your weapons. So honestly, just don't do that. Not to mention, doing this type of exchange is actually against the Roblox terms of service. So if Roblox catches you doing that sort of stuff, you can get banned. You can just get banned from Roblox for doing something like that, because that's sort of an illegitimate way of obtaining Robux. So yeah, don't trade your knives for Robux. It's just not a good idea. You're gonna end up getting scammed. And obviously this applies to limiteds as well. If someone wants to trade limited items in the catalog for your assassin items, you probably should not do that as well, because that's also illegitimate. I don't know if that's specifically against the Roblox rules. It probably is, but don't quote me on that. But again, it's just extremely risky, and you're probably just gonna get scammed if you do something like that. So, you know, just stay in the game. Just trade your assassin knives for other assassin knives. Don't cross trade either. Like, don't trade for Murder Mystery 2 weapons or whatever other games that have economies, because again, that kind of requires multiple steps and you're probably going to get scammed. So yeah, that is one of the many methods to scam people, so do keep that in mind. Our second method is called You First, and this is another pretty common one, And it's basically when you're doing a trade and you have to give your knives first, and then the other person is going to give you their knives after. So obviously if you fall for this scam, you will give them their knives and then you expect them to give you knives, but then they leave and you never see them again, and then you're just scammed. Now this scam is most common in trades that actually require more than 6 trading slots, because obviously, you know, if you're trading more than 6 different knives, then obviously you're gonna have to do multiple trades in order to trade all those. A good example is, you know, trading your entire inventory for something big. That's a pretty good example. So let's say you want to trade for an elegant blade, which costs 400 exotics in value, and you have 400 exotics in value, but they're really all in just tier 1s and bundles. So obviously it would take multiple trades to trade for that elegant blade. And really in that situation, honestly, just don't go for the elegant blade. You know, if you want to get a big knife like that, you're really just gonna have to upgrade and get more expensive knives, and then trade for the elegant blade with those more expensive knives. So when it comes to those trades, the only advice I can really give you is to just stick with 6 trading slots. If you have to use more than 6 trading slots, just don't do the trade at all. Honestly, just avoid that trade. Again, try to upgrade your knives so that you can use 6 trading slots, and then maybe try to trade for the bigger knife later, you know, something like that. Really, just don't do a trade that requires multiple trades. You gotta stick with the 6 trading slots, or else somebody's gonna get scammed, and it's probably gonna be you. And I know it can suck when you end up having a really good deal and it's beyond the 6 trading slots, but again, there's really not much you can do unless Prism makes more trading slots, which I would love to see, but sadly that does not really happen. Another common method is known as knife borrowing. Now, a lot of people have probably seen this, and this is when a player basically just asks somebody else to borrow a knife, you know, just to try it out, see how it works, and then after maybe a couple rounds of using the knife, they will give it back to you. But normally that does not happen. If you let somebody borrow a knife, they will usually just run off with it, and then you will never see them again. Now, first of all, remember, in terms of gameplay, all of the knives are exactly the same, alright? They all have the same speed, they all have the same hitbox. The only difference when you use a different knife is how it looks. The appearance changes. But anyway, to avoid this scam, if somebody asks to borrow a knife, just do not accept. That is not something you want to do. Do not accept. Just ignore them or decline them. Even if they say something like, oh, if you let me borrow this knife, I will give it back, and then I will also give a really good knife. You know, just, again, ignore it. You're probably going to get scammed. It's not a really good idea. Now, this is a less common method, but it is called codes for knives. And this is basically when a player claims that they have a code for a knife, maybe like a code for a mythic or an exotic, but they will only tell you the code if you give them a knife. Now, just so you know, at the time of this recording, there are no codes for exotics or mythics. The only codes that are really available are for a couple of common pets. But just so you know, all the codes that you can enter are free, and they are available on the Assassin Discord, and they are also on the Assassin value list. If you check the value list, there actually is a tab that says codes, and that actually shows you all of the available working codes. So you can find all of the working codes on the value list, and you can also ask on the official Assassin Discord. And if nobody in the Assassin community knows what you're talking about, so for example, let's say that somebody says that they know a code for a mythic. So you ask the Discord, and nobody in the Discord knows what you're talking about. If most of the community doesn't know about the code, it probably doesn't exist. So if somebody is asking you to give them a knife for a code, don't really listen to them, because again, you can just check the value list and the Discord for all of the working codes. And again, if it sounds too good to be true, like a code for a mythic, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. So do keep that in mind. This is another less common method of scamming, but this is when people claim that they are an admin. So this is basically a scare tactic to scare other players into giving a player a knife. Some players will go onto a server and say that they're an admin, and if you don't give them a free knife, they will ban you. Or they might also say something like they'll duplicate the knife for you if you give them a knife. So like, for example, somebody might ask you to give them an exotic, and then they will duplicate that exotic for you, so that maybe you'll have 2 of them, or 3 of them, or 100 of them. Now, just so you guys know, duplication is impossible, and admins will never duplicate knives for you. That is not something that they do. And do keep in mind that there are only 3 admins that actually exist in Assassin. The only 3 admins that can physically ban people are Prisman, Olaf, and Zikoi. So if it's not Prisman, Olaf, or Zikoi, then obviously they're not a real admin. And not to mention, none of those admins are going to ask for your items or for your passwords. So yeah, if someone claims that they're an admin, don't trust them. If they're using admin commands, then they're probably a hacker, so maybe you should report them. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. That's pretty much all of the common methods to scamming. And once again, if something seems too good to be true, such as Robux for knives or duplicating your items, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's kind of just how the game works. And that just applies to real life as well, honestly. So don't get scammed in Assassin. Don't get scammed in real life, and that's just the moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Roblox Assassin. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all those other things that YouTube people do, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay purple.